earlier this year, she said, you know, why don't we reserve a few spots for our GreenCorps members, come in and talk about the projects that they have worked on, and tell the PCA staff about their projects. And I thought it was a great idea. So that's why Chris is here today, and looking forward to his talk. A little bit about Minnesota GreenCorps. For those of us who don't know what Minnesota GreenCorps is, it's a statewide AmeriCorps program, which I did not know until just now. Coordinated by the MPCA with a mission to preserve and protect Minnesota's environment and strengthen communities. Minnesota GreenCorps members serve full-time for 11 months at environmental nonprofits, government agencies, or educational institutions throughout the state. Members address critical environmental issues by serving on projects in one of 4 environmental areas: 1, air pollutant reduction, or community readiness and outreach; waste reduction, recycling, and organics management, or green infrastructure improvements, which is what Chris is involved in. Chris is going to talk about his project, focusing on stormwater, and a Carlton project that he has been working on, Carlton, focusing on stormwater and urban forestry. He developed and adopted a storm drain program structured as a platform for encouraging volunteers in maintaining water quality and educating residents on urban water pollution and stormwater infrastructure. So I'm going to give it over to you, Chris.
Cool.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mark. Official introduction. All right, so as Mark kind of said here, I'm going to be talking about a little bit about what I've done at the Carlton Soil and Water District, and really kind of focusing on this, I guess, kind of main title here, looking at storm drains and thinking of them as a capacity beyond flood management. And as he said, you know, I'm a Minnesota GreenCorps member. I'm with the Carlton Soil and Water Conservation District. So for those of you who aren't familiar with where Carlton County is, that's just south of Duluth, the immediate county south of there. So we're basically a big square. It's a nice little county to work in. And kind of what's our flow today, how we're going to be going down things, kind of our trajectories. We're going to be following along with getting everyone up to speed with what urban stormwater is and kind of getting an understanding of, you know, some of the pollutants that are there, maybe just the dilemma of an urban kind of infrastructure in respect to water quality. Talk about the adopted drain program, both the approach side of it, and kind of like the hypothetical and theoretical of like why this program kind of came to form. I'm just taking a model of it, so I'm by no means the creator. And then looking at how I actually kind of built that. I thought that might be interesting, just kind of dive in some of the intricacies and like how we can kind of build this and, you know, some of the GIS that's involved and such. And then really kind of what I really want to try and touch down is trying to rethink a storm drain as something beyond just a flood management device. And, you know, thinking of it kind of creatively and how we can engage with something that's so commonplace and take it into something maybe as a bit of an outreach tool. So we'll go further here. I also think it's important just a little bit about me, a little bit about GreenCorps, so you're kind of familiar with who's presenting alongside, you know, a little more of an introduction to kind of what GreenCorps is. I don't necessarily know that everybody at the MPCA is as up to speed with it. So on myself, I'm a college graduate as of last May 2018, graduated from the University of Minnesota-Duluth. My background is environmental sustainability studies, basically environmental studies, and then GIS is my minor. And while I was there, you know, a whole slew of things to learn about in respect to, you know, kind of like policy, how to engage, kind of like community outreach and the whole life, alongside, you know, actual experience of volunteering and researching with the Office of Sustainability. While I was doing there, I did some waste audits. I was getting like, you know, hands deep in trash and actually going through and kind of like picking and sorting things. Did some GIS kind of work with the EPA Rainworks Challenge and doing like kind of a master plan design in respect to green infrastructure at the NRRI facility, so Natural Resource Research Institute, and then some tabling and outreach course too. So trying to kind of give a little background. Some of my familiarity before coming into GreenCorps was, you know, having some surveying, a little bit of event planning, stormwater kind of like as a whole, and then community engagement, and yeah, kind of just like, you know, the teamwork and the things that are around some of these, I guess, college-related, like, extracurricular experiences. Now, with Minnesota GreenCorps, how I got involved in that and kind of why, I like to just phrase in that there were just very clear opportunities I want to take advantage of the program. So Mark kind of gave a little bit of summary here. It's an AmeriCorps program that's administered through you guys, MPCA. An intended idea, and I'm taking this from the website, is to address environmental needs of the state while training an upcoming generation of professionals. So basically, think of it kind of like a feeder program to help guide and mentor fresh college grads or anybody who's just kind of like new into the field of like environmental, I guess, kind of like public work, so to say, and just getting them up to speed with given topics and getting kind of that crucial experience that's needed there to help engage down the road in bigger, kind of better things. So the 4 categories: green infrastructure, green engagement, waste, and air pollution. I'm in the green infrastructure category. My background is stormwater, so I'm in the actual stormwater cohort. And a little bit about how this is kind of like why members might join into the program. Of course, it's the AmeriCorps, so it's the kind of like that first stage of professional development. I think what's really special about GreenCorps, outside the fact that it's just ability to expo both like public agencies, such as some in the I don't know if MPCA has ever had any actual GreenCorps members on hand, but places like Soil and Water District. There's a whole vast assortment of districts that have taken on GreenCorps members, mine being one of them. City governances, you might be working at Water Management District. We have a couple of people who are there as well. Just kind of this like whole expo into the public realm, and of course the nonprofit side of things as well. So you're getting this really awesome opportunity to kind of learn a little bit and get kind of like first-hand experience in, again, sectors that I would say are definitely on the side of like kind of environmental work, but can be kind of maybe hard to get your first steps into. Really big important thing too is the amount of training focus we get and mentorship. People like Rachel Wilmanson, for example, who is kind of like one of our main guiders in the stormwater cohort. Just like a lot of really great networking connection, and then of course expanding on experiences. So that's kind of GreenCorps at a really quick kind of little dirty summary. So just to kind of get everyone up to speed. On that aspect, back to the presentation here, urban stormwater at a glance. We'll kind of just dive right into it. I want to try and cover the what, the why, and the how. So think of, an urban area as basically a big pathway to pollution. Maybe not the most positive way to look at it. It's going to be glass half empty, but maybe kind of the reality of it. Urban areas are really these concentration hubs, and they're very streamlined, right? We've kind of taken a landscape, we've developed upon it, and we've really changed the dynamics that are there. Notably, we've added in a lot more people, we've added in development, and then there's a whole slew of pollutants and polluting activities that can take place. And the pollutants I'm thinking about in respect to water quality are things such as suspendable solids, some kind of sediment, any sort of debris, organics, so lawn clippings and leaves, of course, come to mind. Any sort of like chemicals or synthetics. Think of, for example, that coal tar sealant that was being applied to like driveways, and then all the kind of little, I can't remember the acronym for the additives that are kind of coming off of that, but those would be those like synthetics that we're thinking about right there now, ended up in stormwater ponds and becoming a huge issue for municipalities. Any amounts of road grime, again, like automotive fluids and such. Pathogens, of course, from like animal droppings, and then heat and trash. So we have all these like numerous pollutants that are in place, and the problem is that there's not really a point of interception. They're really kind of just free to be hitchhikers and go as they please in relation to like a water flowing down and past them. So because of that, we've reduced like overhead canopies, for example, ground canopies as well. We basically taken what maybe would have been like forest bodies or like really tall kind of grass prairies, and we built a house on it. So in this case, we can look at, for example, our picture here. We have a rain event. That rain event is going to hit any of our infrastructure that's there. We've designed it so that basically when it comes in contact, it's just going to kind of sheet off. So we're running down, we're going to go down our gutter system. Very likely that's going to enter onto probably an impervious surface. Going to run down that further, collect any amounts of debris and matter that's on that surface. Maybe it runs off from the lawn. The lawn, of course, really not that handy at slowing down much runoff. You can think of that as green cement. And that's going to pick up anything along the way as well. Maybe we have some, new like fertilizer we put on there, or we have animal like pet waste. That's all going to go down, and then we put it down like a central corridor in our storm drain, and that goes down to our water features, right? So altogether, this is a very big runoff dilemma that we have on hand. Let's see here. Oh, Rose, doing a little typing up. You're fine.
Yep.
So just kind of re-emphasize that point. This is a little diagram kind of showcasing that. Basically, if we take away and you serve a natural area, we're increasing the surface runoff that is available there.
Sorry.
Yep, you're fine.
I have a question. I would have WebEx planned.
So I already touched on this a little bit. Our historical solution approach was that, all right, so we have an urban area that we've developed. How are we going to handle the extra water that's, building up or not being able to access the subsurface and, kind of accumulating? Well, let's engineer our way out of that. Great solution is to put in some drains, so inlets, and then having a piping corridor that can basically direct that water away. And that works really well. That works great for flood management, obviously. We can look at our urban areas, and we don't really have a lot of flooding going on. So success there. However, that approach also does have some drawbacks, of course, right? So we have those pollutants, those hitchhikers that are along the way. They're getting carried off to a separate site at a space to basically be somewhere else that can handle that water. That might be wetlands. We might have retention bodies, such as like retention ponds. Or just as well, and I'm speaking on behalf of Carlton County, water features are a very common place that we end up draining our water and disposing of it. So think of it, this is like a direct avenue to go and dump our urban contaminants basically right into our water features. And just as well, if you think about it inside of like public perception, that send it away approach is kind of how we might envision stormwater. It's not really a phenomena we really give a lot of thought or mind to. It happens at, let's say for example in the parking lot over here, it rains and then it ends up on the parking lot, washed away, and just goes down these inlets. And it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, right? It enters into the inlet, and then from there, it's just kind of gone. We don't really know where it goes from there. And that's really that's a disconnect for the public at hand to not really be engaged in, especially at the urban side of things, water quality, or thinking about, again, their influence on water as a whole. Because again, it just simply goes downstream. And it's not necessarily something considered, I should note, until there's some sort of resulting incident from it. We might say algae blooms in this example, or maybe, if this our flooding infrastructure doesn't actually function to the capacity we expect it to, maybe we have a flood or something, maybe a street gets flooded or something along those lines. But the recognition is not necessarily there until some sort of dilemma or issue arises or ends up. And that's not necessarily ideal. That's maybe not the best approach. So with that kind of in mind, that's where adopted drains, the kind of theoretical constructs really come to bear. The idea is that if we're trying to engage people around like stormwater, around kind of water quality in these urban areas, and doing it by having them have to be like actually engaged with basically keeping the water clean. So I like saying this is a retrofit solution to our current kind of foundation we have in place, right? Having this gray infrastructure that basically carts the water off through drains and piping. So the basic principles, we have removing the pollutants from the equation altogether. That's kind of the idea here, is that if we have people going around cleaning storm drains, we're basically getting rid of kind of the main bulk of the problem, or at least we're really diminishing it, right? We're trying to keep these storm drains cleaner and keep their right-of-ways cleaner. Makes a lot of sense. In the same instance, we're bringing in the public. Of course, public maintenance cannot feasibly go around and try and monitor or clean these drains at a regular. They have other things that they need to be dealt with. So, it's more of a seasonal approach for them. But if we have public members, even just a small little cohort of them, they can be kind of like a decentralized commanding unit that's going and, taking care of maybe drains in their area, maybe a larger swath from along the whole street, and they're kind of helping us on as an ad-needed basis to take care of the pollutants that might otherwise be going down these storm drains. And of course, that has the separate benefits of getting people involved in local water quality, better community resilience because you have an engaged populace, and just altogether, having engaged residents means people are more, I guess, kind of use the word involved around other issues as a whole, right? They're just more involved in their community. So, kind of we touched on those same advantages here. We're buying time as well in face of a more principal kind of foundational problem. If we're going to say, for example, that having these storm drains is kind of centralized, the centralized kind of flood management lens of approach, and we just simply send everything downstream and let it be taken care of there. If that's our foundational problem, this kind of means to maybe buy some time in respect to being able to kind of implement retrofits. So I'm thinking green infrastructure particularly, right? So, putting in like tree trenches, putting in rain gardens, getting those kind of more widespread to be able to handle small incoming rain events where notably pollution is kind of, or contaminants are lifted up and go along with that water body. This is a way to kind of extend out maybe our, let's say, threshold for contamination of our water features of like for maybe a given land area. So we're spreading out the budget, we're spreading out the time, and we're just making things a little bit maybe easier to handle. just as well, and I kind of already touched on this, community ownership. So having people involved in aspects of pollution reduction, involved in, runoff and water, and just kind of getting them, again, in that frame of mind that, yeah, you do have an influence. Like our areas, what we do does have an effect downstream or somewhere outside our water features here. And of course, nobly, the really minimal expense to try and get people involved, especially through a program like this. It's really not anything heavy or hard to try and keep up and maintain. Actually diving into that, I wanted to, again, like I said, kind of give a little bit of a snippet in what the actual building process was and what it was like to try and kind of bring this all together from scratch. So we're just going to dive right into that. So starting off, I'm in Carlton County. This is my first or second month here, and this is on my work plan. We have to develop, adopt a storm drain kind of plan or proposal. And I thought, what better way to go about building an adopt a storm drain program than looking what's already out there. Why reinvent the wheel when we can just model it? So I'm looking around, there's a whole slew of them, but before I really settle on kind of looking, our City Superior in Wisconsin, that's right in that Twin Ports region, right by Duluth, right? The Metro, San Francisco, and Seattle. And those last three, the Metro, San Francisco, and Seattle, those all really have a very similar kind of approach that they're using. And they basically have an online map, and it's a very kind of online engaging sort of web page kind of feature there. And it was really clear to me from the get-go that we had to have some sort of engaging kind of feature, a map in this case, that really brought people, I should say, retain their interest upon entry onto the website, or somehow or another kind of kept them engaged on the topic as we're trying to go through and encourage them, be a part of adopting a drain and doing routinely kind of cleaning or monitoring of this drain. So it has to be some sort of kind of engaging interface, basically. And I came to find, I have this adopt a hydrant little snippet here in the corner. I came to find that that's actually how the Metro and the major cities ended up doing their adopt a drain program. This is a free coding kind of platform on GitHub, and it's from Code of America, and the original intention was to build an adopt a hydrant program in Boston. And you can recode this and remanufacture it ultimately into an adopt a drain program really easily if you have a coding background. I don't have a lick of coding background in my experience, so that was out of the question. So I thought, okay, I have GIS though, and I know ARC Online is a developing a big thing, and the Soil and Water District has ARC Online. They have an account there, so we can utilize that very likely and make something out of it. Of course, this stems and dives into what's possible beyond that. That's kind of the whole outreach aspect I'll touch on a little bit later. But kind of on the immediate, who was concluding needs when you're building up something like this, especially for the GIS platforms. All right, we need object locations, of course. We need to think about the drainage details. This is going to be kind of that ancillary information that better educates and kind of gets people up to speed with talking about stormwater, urban water pollution, kind of the dilemma as a whole. And then, of course, we need an eye-catching display, something that keeps them there, both brings them in and keeps them there. So here's some examples of what the models I was kind of looking at. This is City of Superior, and you can see they just kind of have one simple web page, goes over really kind of easy and plainly about a summary of this program, a little bit about why it's important to help monitor storm drains, help clean them, the kind of public service that is, and then of course in the red boxes we have here are really straightforward: sign up and reporting your time alongside registration, and then an actual kind of brochure. And the brochure is really nice. It has really great visuals and stuff, but the immediate web page is kind of, it works, but it's maybe not as, I don't know, it doesn't have as much pop as we could really ideally want. Then we look at San Francisco. Right away, that looks pretty engaging. We have things we can click on. We have a bunch of little kind of these, how might I call them, pointers, I guess, for the kind of tags that are the storm drains. They have kind of different symbolism to them that I guess have different interpretation and kind of draw your eyes. Alongside that too, they have a whole little video that explains the adopted drain program in a quick little 30 seconds. Another little button on top is about what about the program, how do you sign up, the whole kind of So yeah, I saw that and thought that's pretty good. That'd be great if we could implement something like that. And then we come to the Metro, and Metro is kind of this even better hybrid or merge of both of those. They have the map aspect, but just as well, there's kind of more information about the service aspect of what it means to help adopt a drain and help clean these up, and how that is benefiting the greater good. alongside, we have things like how to actually clear the drains. We have some really clear instructions. Why adopt, of course, and then these kind of extra little tidbits about preventing runoff pollution outside just simply like going and cleaning the right-of-way leading to storm drains. So with that in mind, that's kind of the lens I took. I thought, all right, if we can meet like the Metro's program, that would be ideal. That's kind of the poster child that we're aiming for. So putting it all together, I'm stepping far ahead here and just trying to, get to the kind of big bulks of information here. But we have to first acquire some data. So I reached out to all the cities, get a hodgepodge supply of information. And I'll be showing this here, but some gave me some really complete information, such as City of Cloquet. They're an MS4 city, so they already have to manage, kind of keep in line the fact where their storm drains are. They have this all in a nice GIS platform. They just sent the files my way. It was really easy to integrate, no work on my part. Then we have a city like Moose Lake. Moose Lake is a small little corridor city along 35. They're not so much engaged on, where their storm drains are or, kind of like even having that in a GIS database. They sent me a PDF map, which, I then had to do some extra work with. But you can kind of see the discrepancy here, right? We've got a whole slew of different information from kind of differently engaged like cities and urban areas that, of course, affect like the development and actually kind of time input into this. And what I needed at the end is some sort of consistency in product. We want to match again what like the maps were of the Metro or just as well like San Francisco, right? Like really kind of standardized like points. It's really easy to interpret. And ultimately, I also needed a means to like verify all these locations. I can get this data from the cities, but I also want to know that that's there. It's in kind of the right place. Especially when I'm putting it on a map, I want, if someone clicks on a drain and they expect it to be on lawn that's kind of given, space along the roadway, that's in kind of the relative area. So we have to verify that. And Google Maps Street View really became a really great tool for being able to do that. And just as well, like I said, we need like the online mapping application. I said ARC Online is what I ended up using. I actually originally tried Google Fusion Tables, and that's kind of a little separate side bit here in respect to that little asterisk by long-term support. But the qualifiers I'm looking for is we need something that's free to use, right? I work at the Carlton SWCD District. They have a very tight budget. So we need something that's free to use ultimately or is already in their kind of list of expenses. Something that's easy to work with, both on the side of like who's managing and developing it and for the user, and just as well as a familiar interface. If we're using something like Google Maps, for example, that's a very familiar interface that most people have like used before. It's not something that's kind of new and wildly different. And of course, long-term support, but we'll find out with Google Fusion Tables it's not the case. So here's some of the data we get. Putting it in the GIS, we have the variety of points that we need and then the actual like, I should call it the drainage piping that's accompanying that. And you can see already that's interesting information. We take maybe this kind of like middle chunk, one of these middle chunks here. The drains are all connected along that one kind of piping corridor, and then we can see there's an outlet to it. If we have that on a map, that's an opportunity to kind of like educate the public a little bit about where's your water actually going. So if we can put that on a map, that right there already speaks a lot more words than just simply, having kind of this summary of what this program is and what its kind of intentions are. So this is what the city of Carlton gave me. They gave me a nice kind of little map of data that was easy to work with. Versus here's Moose Lake. They gave me this map. We have to, geo-reference it on the actual kind of like the background layer. And, from there kind of go a little further and try and interpret their whole schematic they have of their drains. And none of this is points, of course. We have to assign a whole variety of points, and thereby also kind of put them all together and group them. And again, that's a whole kind of separate amount of just tedious work. It's not hard by any means, but it's just a matter of kind of like getting everything together and grouping things and just kind of making sense of the map. You can see that the points don't exactly line up with the little squares or symbols that they have on the map, because, with georeferencing, it's only so accurate, so to say, and there's only kind of so much, like, precision you can get out of that. So, I have to go and, like, verify with Google Maps, for example, go through every street I would like to add, go down every little street, whether that be 4th Street, 5th Street, Douglas Avenue, Cedar Avenue, go down and verify that, okay, yes, there are drains there. They are, right directly across from one another, relatively speaking. And basically kind of get like just like a yes that they're there and check that off the box. Just as well, when we do we do go through here and we check it with Google Maps here on Street View. We can then zoom in a little further. This is Minnesota Geo WMS services, or aerial photography basically. And I think the resolution is at like, I want to say like 10 or 15 meters. So it works pretty well. We're able to zoom in, and you can kind of just see those like darker squares there. That's where our storm drains are. So I can verify that, okay, yeah. What I'm seeing in Google Maps, I can also place with precision on the actual like GIS interface. So worked out really well. There's a lot of kind of little back and forth, checking and verifying, but worked out great. Additionally, I should note too, in respect to Google Street View, another really great little avenue is that you can check out some storm drain outlets and you can verify that those are there. So we have, this is a little piece in Scanlon in the top right you see there, just two little drains that basically drain out into like kind of a culvert exit. But I can verify that that's like in the right relative place. So again, if someone is using this, maybe let's say it's a school project and they're going around, they're trying to get like an idea of where like outlets are, maybe they're doing some sort of analysis in respect to outlets. You want to have that kind of like spatial resolution in good order. We want to be in the relative kind of precision of where it is on the landscape. So Google Street Maps was really awesome for being able to do that. So as I said, the first take was putting fusion tables. Worked out well. I'm just going to jump right to the end. This is my end product from it. I couldn't figure out a way to be able to input the actual like drainage piping, but at the time that wasn't really that big of a deal in my mind, as opposed to just getting this on the map and making everything work. There was a whole slew of kind of, I should call it like translating of data information from ARC to actually fit into Google Maps. Google Maps has kind of like these little thin like specifications they want in respect to the coordinates, alongside kind of just inputting it into their like spreadsheet sort of style. So getting that to work was a whole another story. But you know, getting just this in display was really great. And again, it sounds like the Google Maps interface. So you know, we're all pretty well familiar with that. It shows destinations and kind of landmarks of a given area, which is always really awesome. And it's just really easy to interpret, and that's important, right? And on top of that, you can see we have a click on one of the dots here. For those in the room here, you might not be able to see, but we have listed, we can have like the city ID, so we can have like some sort of ID that we'll reference in the form later on here for how like an individual can click it and then, you know, make the mark that's the drain I want to adopt. Of course, it's going to be labeled whether or not it's adopted. We can input the watershed. You know, what is this? This is in Otter Creek, for example. Cloquet has 3 separate watersheds that the drains can be a part of. That's just, you know, extra information that someone might not otherwise know about in respect to the water and where it's going. Is it going to a trout stream? Where is it actually draining to? So this is going and like saying, it's draining to a wetland stream. If we go back here and we take a peek at these outlets, you know, being able to use Google Street View, I can go and I can see, where's that outlet actually going? Is it going to something like this, which is more kind of like a culvert or ditch? Or is it maybe going to like an actual stream feature? And we can verify that and thereby list that in our attributes for these given points. Just as well, we can give a little more detailed description, which just can kind of like summarizes where it's draining to in a little more of a narrowed down sort of sense. Also, what was nice about Google Fusion Tables is this really nice kind of spreadsheet input. Just toss it in if you get it all formatted right, and you know, it's easy to interpret and utilize. However, Google Fusion Tables is no more. They're taking it down, and I found this out about 3 weeks after I completed the program. I know, isn't that nice? It was like 2 or 3 months of work to get here, and then it got severed. But no harm, no harm, no foul. I'm going to say, thankfully, ARC Online was the backup. Those are very important lessons to learn. Always have some sort of backup plan, Plan B, even if it's not that sure. Just have it. But yeah, so Google canceled it, which is a real shame. It was an awesome thing that they had. But now our final product, ARC Online. This is actually where I'm going to go, and if we can go to this web link here.
We'll try.
So bear with me, everybody. We're going to open up the actual application here that's on ARC Online, hopefully. Yay.
It's working. Are
It
you
is
kidding me?
Yay.
It never worked before. We've tried this several times, and they made an update. I was like, I don't know how to do web anymore. They changed it, and they made it way better. Okay, sorry.
This is good. So if we can go.
Which one do you want to go to?
I think for the, let's try the far left first.
Oh, I lost my mouse. Sorry.
Okay, no, one to the right then. Right here. Okay, so here, I want to show off this first interface. It's really nice. With Park Online, we can have a required liability acceptance. You wouldn't necessarily think that there has to be, a liability aspect of going and cleaning drains, but this is 2019. You got to make sure you cover all your bases. So what was really nice about Park Online, I can just put that in there and say, all right, you're agreeing to the above terms and conditions, which is basically signing away, quote unquote, your life from us. I have no responsibility if you go and break your arm somehow cleaning a drain. And thank goodness that's the case. So we can just go right through that. They accept their terms and they've, reported their faith. And now we can actually zoom in. So here's Carlton. You can go whichever one. Here's Moose Lake, for example. So we can zoom in and we can see that there's a whole list of these red drains, right? Oh, look at that too. There's a whole network of piping that they're connected to. And those little black dots, I don't have the legend pulled up here automatically, but we can see that we have kind of clusters of red, and that's showing that they're not necessarily adopted. I think we can pull up the legend in the top left one right there. So here's our legend. We have not adopted, ones that are in blue, it's not necessarily in Moose Lake, they don't have this, but ones that can't be adopted and ones that are cleaned, or ones that are claimed, I should say. The storm drain outlets, we can see where all the water that comes from the semi-urban area of Moose Lake goes, and kind of get like an idea of like, where's it ending up? Where might it thereby end up further on down, like in our kind of water features and water bodies? We can see some directly going to Moosehead Lake, for example. There's like 5 or 6, it looks like 5 outlets that are going right into Moosehead Lake. Well, that might be prioritization right there if Moosehead Lake is facing any sort of impairment. Of course, on the side of like public officials, they already knew this because they had that map. I was just basically kind of transcribing this into this kind of platform. But the public now knows that too, or at least it's available for them to know. They can take advantage of the fact that, maybe this is why Moosehead Lake, right near my, shoreline along one of these outlets is, doesn't have great fishing, or, maybe that's why like the water gets kind of turbid, or algae growth, whatever it might be. We have some of that information there to be utilized. Just as well, you can see there is a stream along right near 73 here. That's between 73 Industrial Road, for those of you who are online where the cursor is. There's a stream that runs right here, and this stream leads down, and it goes into what is the Moosehorn River right there, the lower branch of that. That'd be another example. We can see, why maybe is this stream, I don't know, maybe the water there is really warm during certain times of the year. Maybe just as well, it's really turbid, has some sort of kind of like impairments to it. We have that information potentially to give like a relative reason or kind of association to that. So again, this is just a really great means in my mind of like a public education and outreach tool. Just as well, I think we'll toss right into going into another one of these links here. So we have the map. Let's go over to the left. How about the left one? But a good map should be accompanied by a web page. All right, so this web page is kind of the next like really great build out of this, is that we can talk about this program. Of course, it's like the City Superior did. And we can kind of go into like really kind of quick snippets of urban water pollution, some of what I kind of gave you at that glance, right? So first we can describe the program, its intention. We can go down here and see that why stormwater matters. We have our 6 kind of relative pollutants of concern. I already touched on water temperature. I should say these are kind of water quality metrics instead. Water temperature, clarity, microorganisms, and so forth and so on. We can give a little kind of precursor and kind of try to encourage or at least like inform people about these water quality metrics. And then it's a really simple sign-up process. We have step 1, you're supposed to review our terms of service, ideally speaking. Then you can explore on the map, you can choose your drain, and then finally at the bottom here we have our sign-up survey. And that's where I'm going to go to our next link, the sign-up survey being that purple one. All right, so the sign-up survey is another opportunity to kind of gauge the public's maybe, I don't want to say like perception, but maybe like their involvement. So with sign-up, some really kind of typical parameters that we need to fill out. But if we go down a little further here, we can then see too, we can ask, do you already clean this drain? Are you an involved citizen as it stands? How frequently? Is there some sort of history that maybe should be noted about this? And just as well, can you give us like a description of maybe the debris or some of the stuff that's kind of going down here, right? And of course, this has to be taken with a grain of salt. This is from like the public end, somebody who's maybe not routinely taking kind of measurement or like observation. But again, we can get a little bit of like insight into these like various sites if we have enough involvement of people that are filling out and answering that question about maybe places of priority or places that are experiencing a little more of contamination than other sites. So from there, we'll actually go back to the presentation. Actually, no, yeah, let's click. Can we click on that link? My bad. I just want to showcase, this is a adopted drain site in the metro. This is, again, kind of a hallmark that they have. So this is the very start of it. You can see really nice little intuitive interface. It's kind of fun and grabs your eyes and attention. We can go down here, and we see like the top tabs have like about adopt a drain, how to clear a drain, why adopt, and then prevent runoff solution. That follows in kind of a list format. So we can see here's our map. We go down a little bit further. We actually have the about the program. Again, nice little kind of little bites to just like catch your eye. We can keep going here, and then we'll get to like how to clean storm drain. They have this listed out. It's really just step by step by step. Very informative, to the point. Plain language at its finest. This is where I would say, if anyone needs to learn about plain language, take a look at this. It's to the point and really clear. Why adopt a drain? Same kind of thing. We're only going to be hitting the big, broad points of the target. Things such as like organic, how it reflects and relates to algae growth and kind of spurt, all those things. I like that little bit that they say, please don't feed the algae. It's kind of like a, I don't know, some sort of kind of mnemonic to catch and like kind of keep in the back of your head about why we're cleaning storm drains and the importance there. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. That's in the how I try to model off of, and I think again they just do a really good job of that outreach aspect in respect to storm drains. And then we can go back to the PowerPoint here, and we'll jump to our final and last point here. For about the last.
Does anybody adopt a storm drain in their neighborhood? Maybe do that?
Hey, we got two. All right.
I tried to, and the girls, and they didn't want me to. I just do it anyway.
They've heard about you, bro.
All right, so now, yeah.
I should stay here for a minute.
Good, because I don't know if we're getting back up.
I hope I can get from here. I did touch on this in the map, but another really special thing about this map, and I'll use the cursor here, is that if we go up and take a look, we have these two little, I'm going to call them tabs. These are opportunities for links right in the mapping interface. It might not be super conspicuous, but it's there as an opportunity. It might be something down the way. I haven't found yet how to expand on that and make that a little more noticeable. But again, just an opportunity for further outreach, all within like one-click distance. We always have to make it convenient, right? So one-click distance away, and we can go a little further and learn a little bit more about like stormwater and everything as alike. Let's see if this works. Oh, perfect, it does. This again is that same kind of like the web page of the Adopt a Drain program. But now we're coming to our last point: rethinking storm drains. Opportunities in plain sight potentially is how I want to kind of phrase this.
I gotta make sure, I think, okay, now we're back to PowerPoint, I think.
And I lost clicking ability here.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Now we're good. All right. So more than meets the eye. So let's consider this, for example. Storm drains are very commonplace. They're in plain sight, and they're within close proximity to the public. Okay. I don't know three things that could describe a better opportunity or some sort of kind of like device to engage people. It's right there and it's not noticed right now. So that means if it stands out, it's noticed. It's not like sign blindness, right? This is something that people aren't taking into their perception as now. So it's a really easy way maybe for us to make a point of connection to water quality, to feel involved and making a difference, and just as well, a means for community bonding. I'm going to try and touch on all three of these in kind of next coming slides. But I really want to make that emphasize point stand. It's easy to stand out. If you see one of these, that's really noticeable, right? And if you notice in the bottom left here, this is in, I think, St. Paul. My recollection is Friends of the Mississippi Water. Their little nonprofit group sponsored that kind of like artist painting. But the point stands. When you see this, you're probably going to notice this. You might not necessarily stop. You might not necessarily go into like an in-depth evaluation of it, but it's noticed. And the possibility for a little bit more analysis and thought behind this really stands. And there's people who are a lot smarter and a lot better than I am at making people think from a very small, short message. That's, kind of like our outreach and maybe media personnel kind of team, right? This is where they shine, and it's an opportunity to really take advantage of that. And just as well, I might notice, all right, let's say it's probably not very feasible to try and paint every storm drain with a mural, right? That's not what I'm trying to get at here. But let's say, for example, even the blue storm drain right there, if you saw that on a street, that might stand out. I think it would for me, at least, just because I don't see that. They're mostly brown and nondescript. If it's blue or maybe something kind of bright, and you have like a small little tag there, such as we go back, keep them clean, drains the river on top of that, it's a little more noticeable than just putting it on the concrete. Just as well, too, you can do targeting and message specific. That's really good advantage, right? We have, for example, the dog using potty. That's great. Let's have it outside a dog park. That's kind of all the race right now in Duluth, is trying to get pathogens in terms of like water quality impairment, maybe in line with the or get a handle on it. And something they're trying to do right now is the whole like no poop fairy targeted kind of messaging deal. Well, this page alongside that is just simple passive imagery that always kind of gives that reminder, right? You have that in the street, that's easy to notice and it's funny. Just as well, habitat, maybe we have some sort of like swans or some sort of kind of animal or wildlife that's culturally either historic or kind of attached or notable in that landscape. Just opportunities that abound. All right, events and gathering. This maybe takes a little more creative thought in respect to, let's get the community involved by the easiest way we can. Incentivize. People come and people want to do things when there's some sort of incentive there. That's kind of the creatures we are. You need to have live music, entertainment, maybe vendors, or something that's going to grab them and bring them in and result in some sort of kind of benefit to them. I like to think of fun. That's the beauty of having events. They're fun, and they draw people in because of that. It's a social opportunity. And if we had to be themed, well, that's a great opportunity to do a little bit of outreach and get people engaged again around kind of the fun aspect of it, right? If we can bond like a positive experience alongside this theme of water quality stewardship, engagement, that's a win. That's a great opportunity right there. And let's just take this fire, for example. So one of these murals that were being designed, this is in the city of Kingsport, I believe New York. They had, come to the storm drain art contest. So maybe we have, if we're in an urban area like here, all right, call all artists who are interested. We'll offer, in this case, they offered like little $100 gift cards, I guess. We don't even necessarily need to do that. Maybe it would be something small like, here's your opportunity to get your art displayed and just have like a plug. Here's your quote-unquote lifelong mural that's going to be on our roads till it lasts that week. So again, simple opportunity for public display, calling your artists, bring people together for the simple entertainment of watching artists do their thing. Just as well, in Carlton County, we did something just last weekend, in fact, the Bee Friendly Day. This is a pollinator fest at the Oldenburg House, which is a nonprofit based in Carlton, the city of Carlton, put on for the sake of trying to educate the populace about pollinators. And this was actually a fairly big hit. The city of Carlton's small. They have kind of the benefit of being a tight community. And being that they're small, most people go to events. So it works in their favor that when they put on something kind of small and maybe not innovative, but kind of like not of the norm, people kind of get interested, and they're going to come and attend regardless and give it a try. And they had a whole variety of events. It's not like it has to just be the aspect of art and, doing these murals. No. They did the Carlton Bike Rental and Repair. They hosted a bike ride through, like, the city going into Jay Cook. So that was the start of the day. We had yoga, bee-friendly yoga. It was themed. We had the local yoga teacher from Cloquet come in, and they hosted this big old, like, pollinator-inspired kind of like yoga deal with like poses that are, bee poses or whatever you want to say. And the whole kind of like, but again, every single thing was themed and kind of built around this aspect of pollinators. And then, of course, too, we actually did have our artist, Adam Swanson, who's based in, I think, Cloquet or somewhere in the Twin Ports region. He came down and did these nice little shots from my murals. And this was an opportunity not just to show off some really cool art, but this was like a kid kind of art contest. We had like, 15 or like 20-some kids that were there with chalk, and they're right alongside Adam, who's a professional artist, doing these drawings and have an opportunity to engage. They're getting to be maybe quote-unquote inspired and mentored by an artist and connected around this, all because of this one event that in turn is themed under the big branching umbrella of pollinators. Again, we're building this really positive experience built around something such as this. I can't say for sure that there's going to be some quantifiable change that's inspired from this, but at least that the potential and opportunity is there, right? And just for fact, too, it hasn't rained in Carlton County for it hasn't rained at least the past amount of time that these have been up there, so they're still there. They're still on the sidewalk right in front of Magnolia Cafe, which is a very popular destination for people going to coffee and the like. And the last bit here I'm going to touch on within like kind of the last 5 minutes, hopefully, is knowledge and service. Okay. So Adopt a Drain program, I talked about, we have that interface, it's a really nice education medium, and with schools, this is a great possibility for projects and doing kind of extracurricular work around that. So a learning device first and foremost is GIS. That's kind of the buzzing trend at least in respect to the Carlton area, I can attest to that middle school students are trying to get more familiar with, the same with high school. And, you have to start small. You have to talk about, vector data. What are lines and points? What do they look like on a map? We're not going to necessarily go into like rasterization or anything, but this little Adopt a Drain program is it's a good example of an actual kind of like realistic use of some of this information, these kind of like techniques we talked about in GIS. And again, we can visualize things. It gives a whole new opportunity, a new avenue for information to be taken up. And just, I like to think of it as school projects. This is like Science Project 101 material. Okay, you live on a street, you might have like 7 or 8 drains within the vicinity right there. Why don't you go around for like 1 week and just like sweep up the collective debris? All right, that's benefit to the SWCD, where I'm a part of. You're cleaning up some pollution, maybe at small scale, but still being done. And now you can maybe do a little bit of analysis of what was collected, how much was collected. Let's bring GIS in. Where were they, like spatially? Where was kind of the most pollutants? Yada yada yada. We may do an example of where if we have that piping corridor. How far does my water travel if I pour this like glass of water here down to the drain? Where does it end up? Another opportunity of a project, right? And then, we can talk about stenciling, outreach metrics, where are those most prevalent, why might that be? Just all this opportunity for kind of investigating with kids and everything. Again, same kind of thing. We have all this nice information in the red box, also ancillary information we tossed in that makes this another really good little outreach tool or educating kind of tool. All right, same thing with the Adopt a Drain program in St. Paul. I'm not going to dive much more into that. In the aspect of service, another great opportunity for just doing some sort of community engagement. We have groups such as Boy Scouts of America, or just Scouts of America now, 4-H, school youth groups, Friends of Spend Water Feature, Friends of the Mississippi, of course, in the kind of Duluth and like swim ports area. We have, I think it's the St. Louis Water Alliance. And then recreation clubs. Maybe have like biking clubs, for example, like cyclists of a given place, or, I don't know if lake associations would be maybe as involved per se, but some of those kind of like hobbyists or like clubs that are joined together, let's get them involved just as well too. I know in respect to like rafts and leaf litter and clippings and all that, there's been a little more involvement, at least in respect to like the Twin Ports area, of having like bicyclists and motorcyclists try and kind of get around that campaign for having people not put their clippings or their leaves in the road, because that's a hazard. You can slip on that really easily. Anyone who's like is just as well going to know that. You have really thin tires. You go across like a pile of leaves in the fall that are like wet and kind of just like spaced on the roadway. That's just as well going through sand basically. So it's a hazard. If we can, get them involved on this, get them around, the message of the fact that this is for stormwater alongside public safety and not being a hazard. All right, and with that, I'm going to end with a simple quote. If life can't do lemons, we need to make lemonade. Well, we have a whole slew of storm drains. Let's make lemonade out of them. Thank you, and any questions? Yes.
This is a practical question. So if you don't remove the storm, the grate, how do you clean it?
They go through, are you saying in the aspect of the public? You just go through and like sweep it up. So if we go back here, I should ask, the question by the way was, if we don't remove the grate, how do we clean the drains? So let's say you take a broom here, and we'll use the aspect of weeds. You just go through and sweep it off, and then you clean that right of way. You might take like a broom or a rake. Yeah, I should really press. We do not encourage the public in any way to lift these drains up just because of the hazard that might be both to them, and then also public works, of course, doesn't want people fiddling with that. So all you have to do, thankfully, is go through, sweep it up, and then pretty much just take the debris and put it in the trash. And we outline that. Of course, the Metro's one is really straightforward. We outline that in a little document of like how to clean a drain. So it's really step by step and everything. Hand back.
Yeah, is there a plan to have like a statewide, drain adoption program to maybe expand on the Metro or something like that?
There is. So interestingly, I reached out to the Metro's program about a month ago or so, and they're looking to actually expand outside just the Metro. And I should say, by the way, the question was, for anyone who couldn't hear it, is there any kind of interest or look to expand outside just the Metro with an Adopt a Drain program, make this more a statewide initiative? So they are looking to expand into Rochester now, like another kind of little metro area, and then hopefully like Twin Ports region. And I'm also part of, I took the place of one of our workers with RSPT, the regional stormwater protection team in the Northeast area, and they're trying to get like a regional adopt-a-drain, how might I put it, program in place. And they're trying to do that in respect to like the Metro program and have them kind of managing body, I guess the way to put it. So yeah, there is like interest in trying to expand this, it seems like, and it looks like it's going that way.
Really nice presentation, Chris.
Glad to hear it.
Really, really good job. What kind of feedback have you had from people in the community so far? Have you had much, or do you know how it's resonating?
So that actually has been one of the mute points of this, unfortunately, is that it's been up for about 2.5 months, I think, and I have not had very good involvement. And I think part of that is that, and I should say, I've done a lot of social media outreach about it, so just spreading the word like, hey, this new program's in, check it out, blah, blah, blah. Alongside, I write newspaper articles in the Pine Knot and the Pine Journal, which is kind of like the regional paper. And I've posted whole stories. I have like 500 words every 2 weeks. I've posted 3 or 4 columns, all targeted about this, trying to encourage people, why is it important, blah, blah, blah. Had 1 or 2 people so far sign up. And one of the people, they were from the city of Carlton. They were one of the like public staff workers there. So they already kind of had a vested interest. So in terms of getting involvement, it's been really tough. But I have learned from John, I want to say, it's not Anderson, John at the city of Hutchinson. I met him. He's the public works director. And then Andrea Corsau at the city of Superior. I chatted with them, and they had brought up that public event where you're being able to talk to people one-on-one and kind of share some of the information and give kind of like demonstration has been a far better approach and succeeded a lot more in these kind of things. And Andrea, for example, she's had that program going for I think a couple years now, and I don't know how many people are signed up, but she said recently they've done a couple like really targeted events with like news, where you put out a I forget. Basically,
News release?
there you go, news release, yeah, press release. And they've had like in terms of like newscasts done about it, and that's really attracted a lot more attention versus having like the paper medium form where they have to read through it and try and it's just not as eye-catching.
Well, and part of what the Metro one does is, as part of like a service event, we did one when they were testing, it was like a pilot mode, it was last spring. I had to take my Girl Scout troop out to do it, and I was really disappointed. The city basically didn't approve us, they didn't want us in the street. We wore safety vests, we're good, and we made little flyers. And then we handed them out as we went to every door,
Right.
and we said, like, there's this adopt-a-drain program, and then we put out, like, pollution, like, keeping,
Right.
things out of the storm drain. And so that would be another thing, too, is to, like, get some, activities and groups who are willing to, like, go to, their, within their neighborhood.
Right.
And so that was something that we did. But we don't have an actual, like, you can't go from my city, you can't go on adopt-a-drain. You can just clean it though.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but it's not sanctioned by the city.
Has either any of those cities kind of endorsed or tried to promote the program from the city?
Yeah, so actually City of Cloquet, they just recently reached out to me. They're going to be putting it on their website. That's a pretty small little step maybe in that kind of direction of endorsing. But I've gotten relatively good feedback of just doing the GIS work and having all that like online in a map that I think I've kind of shooed my way into having them be my endorser, so to say. So like City of Moose Lake hasn't really given me, I haven't really approached them or anything, but City of Carlton, they were really happy about this, and we have some really good relations with people on the actual board there, the council members. They're really active in the community, and just having kind of that aspect of it, I know I kind of have maybe like past endorsement about it. So, if it might come up in conversation, it's mentioned, so to say. But in terms of like kind of active, like it being like a campaign, we haven't really had anything yet. But it could be the case down the way. I'm not really sure. I guess it really depends on priorities, so to say. Yeah.
What about City of Duluth? Do they have a program like this?
They used to. Interestingly, they don't have it anymore. And they had something that was really similar to what the City Superior did. And I think, it was just the lack of involvement and just kind of they don't really have somebody like put much maintenance or time into it. So I think they had it a couple of years ago and they just kind of severed it off. Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Oh, yep.
So we
have a AGOL like that for our volunteer water monitoring programs
Yep.
here. And I have a question. Are you able to, in real time, update when someone adopts?
I can.
Do you do that?
Yeah, and what's really neat is that I go to, I don't have the form on here, so that Google form that I made, I think I showed it earlier, that has a neat little extension where, I can't remember what the extension's called, but I'll get alerted whenever someone signs in, right, and like does the whole sign-up procedure, and then it's actually inputted into a spreadsheet, a Google spreadsheet, I guess is what it's called, and it automatically feeds it into that whole deal. So I get an email, and then, yeah, I can just go in real time and like update it, but it's not like,
But you update it manually,
yeah, I have to
each
update
one?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I should say, it's not an automatic adjustment, which is maybe kind of a little quirk that I haven't found a workaround for yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so do you work with Melanie?
I do work with Melanie, yeah.
Okay. Thinking we should send out something like this to our lake and stream volunteers in Carlton County.
That's an idea, yeah.
Might get you a few.
That would be very helpful, yeah.
Yeah.
I should note too, I didn't mention this, in the whole Adopt a Drain program, you know, there is like priorities when we want people to actually clean drains, right? Generally before a storm event, like I said, it has to be kind of like an as-need basis. And ideally speaking, we want to have people go out, like maybe let's say a couple days before a storm's going to happen, get it all nice and clean, so then when the actual like water comes through, it doesn't have a lot of hitchhikers can pick up. What's really cool is that Melanie had actually mentioned to me Minnesota RAF, I think is what it is, or RAMP or whatever. It's sent out by, I'm not going to remember the agency at this moment, maybe like National Weather Service or like Minnesota's like Meteorological Society. Like it's an update whenever there's a storm approaching. Doesn't give any sort of grade per se, but I think it's whenever like a 1-inch event is going to come your way. And that could be a possibility for participants to sign up for that. It's just a quick little email, gives a little heads up, I get them. And again, kind of another little tool, so to say, in the toolbox to help people be efficient when doing this. Yeah, just a little side to basically.
Any more questions? Anyone from online have questions? If not, Chris, hey, thanks for coming down and
Cool.
sharing the story with us. It's great.
Definitely.
Presentation, thanks.
Thank you.